All right, so welcome to another episode of Acromerk's product videos, in which we showcase product capabilities and some of the nice features so you can actually make educated product purchase decisions. Well, in today's video, I'm going to figure out a way to calculate the circumference of a tumbler's circumference, right? Did I say it right? Yes. So why do we need to measure the circumference of a tumbler? Well, it's because when you do sublimation, when you print it, you want to cover the whole tumblers with your design. And you don't want to leave any white lines. So that's where you need to calculate circumference of a tumbler. This has only happened when you need to cover the whole tumbler. If you're not, like in this case, I have two, separate designs. I'm going to put it in the front, the other one in the back. You don't need to calculate circumference. There are 4 different ways. And today I'm going to show you 4 different ways to measure the circumference of the tumblers. And one of them actually including a high tech. So don't go away. High tech, don't go away. Here is a 20-ounce tumbler. And let me just take the lid off, so we're not going to need that. So circumference of a cylinder equal pi times diameters. So if you measure the diameters, you're going to get the circumference. To measure diameters, I'm going to use a caliper. It's 2.95. Let me just measure a couple points, just make sure that I'm getting the maximum. 2.95. That's inch. Okay, so armed with that numbers, and we are able to calculate the circumference of this cylinder. So 2.95 times pi, and that will give me 9.27. 9.27. That's the circumference of this cylinder, or this tumbler. I keep saying cylinders. All right, so the reason I'm using the caliper to measure it, I just want to get the most accurate out of these 4 different methods of measuring circumference of a tumbler. So I have that reference. I jot down the numbers, and let's go on with the second method. All right, so if you don't have the calipers, then you're going to measure using a tape measure or rulers. So you're going to measure this, or you have something like this cutting mat right here. It has the scale. You can just measure that. All right, so that will be, it's basically the same as measuring the diameter using a caliper. Second method is you can actually cut, let's say, a piece of papers. All right, so let's just do that. I'm going to cut a very nice small strip, a piece of paper. So what I have just done is I just find a scrap piece of papers and then just cut a tiny strip like this. This should be enough. I'm going to need the help of cradles. You probably have seen these cradles. These are pretty rugged, flexible tumbler cradles. You're going to need that when you do put the vinyls. It's actually a very good tool. It gives you 2 angles. One is level, and the other one is give you slight little slant angles, and that really helps you to put the stuff onto the tumbler. So today I'm going to use this cradle to wrap around this piece of paper around the tumbler. Okay, so what I'm going to do is very simple. I'm just going to wrap around. Got back with my rulers. I'm just going to measure. So the distance is between this point and this line right here. I'm going to measure that, see if it's going to round up to 9.27. My measurement is 9.25. It's very close. And I measure that is 9.25. In case you don't have any measuring devices, no caliper, no tape measure, but you definitely going to need the rulers, right? But ruler can't bend over the tumblers, and then you can just cut a strip piece of paper and then wrap around it. Now we'll give you circumference of the tumblers. All right, so that will be our number 2. And number 3, we'll just we briefly mentioned previously, right? If you're going to work on the tumblers, hopefully you're working on a tumbler to do sublimations, put vinyls on it. There is a tape measure, this one here. It's specifically designed for measuring the tumblers. All you have to do is just wrap around this tape measure, go through this cutout, 9.27. This is 9.5, right? So yeah, it's really accurate. This is how the tumbler measure or tumbler rulers worked. And it actually works pretty accurate. So that will be the third way of measuring circumference of tumblers. Let's talk about the high tech. If you have an iPhone, you already have a device inside your iPhone that can actually measure the distance. So in this case, we go back to measuring the diameter of the tumblers. We know that the tumbler diameter is 2.95. Have you ever used the Measure app inside your iPhone? It's actually very, very accurate. So if you have an iPhone, and definitely have this free Measure app. The reason I'm using the cutting mat right here is because it has the grid ready. So let me just do an example. I hope you can see the accuracy of this one here. So each grid is about 1 inch. So 1 inch square here and there. So I'm just going to go from this point all the way to this point, measure 1 inch. Or maybe you could just go 3 inches right here. So I'm going to go 3 inch and see what the iPhone will tell me. Make a starting point, and I'm just move around and then go. You see how accurate that is? This is 2-inch mark. It says exactly 2 inch. And let's go 3 inch. Right there, it's 3 inch mark. And it says 3 inch. So basically I'm measuring from here to here. It's 3 inch. See how accurate that is? All right, so what is this going to do with us measuring this diameter? So I'm going to do is I'm going to measure the point from here to here and see if it's exactly 3 inch. So I'm going to do is, of course, that when I span this cross, I'm just going to have to go with the eyeball, right? So, but I'm going to keep it level, so and measure the distance right here. So, all right, I'm going to start with the starting point right there. I'm just move around a little bit, like the iPhone knows that I'm taking the point. There we go. I'm holding that tight. All right, you see that? It's 3 inch. All right, okay, so let's go. Cross the center. Here we go. 3 inch. You see that? Yep. 3 inch right there. All right, so that will be the fourth method using the iPhone Measure app, and you can measure the diameter of this tumblers. And actually, it's very useful if you have an iPhone. If you don't have an iPhone, you probably have other Measure app in the Android. So pull it out and test out yourself. See if it can measure the diameter of this tumbler. Once you have the diameter of the tumblers, then the calculation will just be times 3.1415, right, to get circumference of the tumblers. So there you go. You have 4 different ways: iPhone, calipers, and tumbling measure, and where's that? Oh, this one here, and a self-made tape measure. I hope you like it.